using finding the sum of an arithmetic sequence. We saw on the last lesson how to derive the formula above, and now we're going to see a situation where we're going to apply it in this situation here, where we've got information given in the question. We've been given a series. A series is where you take a sequence and put plus signs instead of commas. You're adding it together. So the word series is actually a technical term. What do we know about this series? Well, we know that the A is equal to 6. The first term is equal to 6. We know the common difference is equal to 4. Now, the danger is we stop there and we forget that they've given us a really vital piece of information. They've told us that the last term of this series is 50, which means we can write down that Tn is equal to 50. Now, I'm emphasizing it in purple because it's the most forgotten piece of information when you're tackling a problem of this nature. So that is now done. Normally what happens now is people go back to reading the question and they say, yes, we're looking for the sum to n terms. They go to the formula book and they pull out the formula, which is n over 2 lots of A plus, open bracket, n minus 1, close bracket on D. They then start substituting information in, and they've got S to n terms. Don't know n. Don't panic, keep going, don't stop, whatever you do. We know that A is equal to 6, so we put 6 in place of A. We don't know what n is, so we have to keep writing as n minus 1. And as we saw in last lesson, are we going to write the 4 at the end of the bracket? We can. Or do we just sort of cut a few corners and write it at the beginning? So instead of writing n minus 1 bracket 4, we just move the 4 to the beginning. As I say, don't panic, start tidying it up so that you can gather some method marks. So you've got 2 lots of 6 is going to be 12, and then you've got plus 4n minus 4, and then again just keep tidying it up and get to a completion so that you're gathering method marks. 4n first, let's do the highest power first, and then 12 take 4 is 8. And quite frankly, stop there. And then you have to ask yourself the question, what haven't you used yet? Now, you've used the 6, you've used the D equals 4, but you haven't used Tn is equal to 50. Now, I think I've been sneaky enough to allow some room in here. So what do I know about Tn? Well, I go to the formula book again. And I go to the formula book, and I know that Tn, according to the formula book or from memory, is A plus n minus 1 on D. Now I know what Tn is. I know that Tn is equal to 50. I know that A is equal to 6 plus n minus 1 on 4. And the only letter that's left now in the formula is n. So just rewriting it, so I've got 6 plus 4 bracket n minus 1 close bracket is equal to 50, and then I start doing the tidying up. 6 plus 4n minus 4 is equal to 50. Keep turning the handle. 4n plus 2 is equal to 50. Bring the 2 across to the other side, so we end up with 50 take 2. 4n is equal to 48, and then we divide both sides by 4. 4's into 48 go 12, n equals 12. And we're cruising towards a very high grade. So now the n, we can go back over here, and we've got 12 over 2, open bracket, 4 on 12, using the empty bracket method. At this stage, we can just reach for a calculator and work this out, and that comes to 6 open bracket 4 open bracket 12 close bracket plus 8 close bracket press equals, and the answer is 330 336. 336. And now, after completing that example, maybe not, you should be able to tackle these questions at the top. Remember, any time during this video, you can pause it in order to copy it down, or even try and work out what you think the next line should be. That would be good for you. Right, moving on. We're looking now at this thing here, and it's the same as before. Gather the information. Now, if we're gathering information, let's take a look at the question. Read it first. In an arithmetic series, the sum of the first 10 terms, so we've got the sum of the first 10 terms is equal to 520. So we write the information down. The sum of the first 10 terms is equal to 520. Remember your suffix notation. You write the 10 very small down the bottom. If the 7th term is double the 3rd term, so we're looking at the 7th term is equal to double the 3rd term. Find the first term, A, and the common difference, D. So, remember, it's all about formulas. So the first thing is, here, we're going to be quoting a formula. And the formula is Sn is equal to n over 2, open bracket, 2a, plus, open bracket, n minus 1, close bracket on D. Now, I'd like you to pause the video for a moment and tell me what n is, obviously, for this part of the question. What is n equal to? So pause the video, think about it. I'm going to write the answer down now. And so clearly n is 10. How do I know n is 10? Because it said sum to n terms, sum to 10 terms. So I know for this part of the question that n is equal to 10. So I now know that the sum to 10 terms is 10 over 2, open bracket, 2a, plus, well, 10 minus 1 is 9, so I've got 9d. Oh, S10, nearly forgot, is 520, so I need to put that in. 5 on 2a plus 9 over d. There's lots of different ways of doing this. You can multiply out the brackets, or you can divide 520 by 5 in order to make it slightly easier, because 5 is multiplying the bracket. So I can divide by 5, and that will actually make the mathematics so much simpler. So we've now got 104 is equal to 2a plus 9d. Once again, you could pause the video. What type of equation are we actually looking at or solving here? Now, I hope when you actually restart this video that you've actually said simultaneous equation, because you've got two letters that you're looking for in a relational equation, and now you're going to be using the other piece of information in order to work it out. Now, you might go to the formula book and write down that Tn is a plus n minus 1 on d, and therefore you now know that, just from pure common sense, is when that is equal to 7, then n minus 1 has to be equal to 6. So therefore this now becomes a plus 6d. And then it's 2, don't forget, when you're substituting, you follow something with a bracket, and T3 must be how many d? So pause the video, use a bit of common sense, and tell me. And it's 2. So you've got a plus 2d, because 3 take 1 is d. So a plus 2d. So now you've got a plus 6d is equal to 2a plus 4d. We know it's simultaneous equations, so we bring all the letters to the left-hand side. We get equals 0. So we get minus a plus 2d is equal to 0. Very handy, because when we bring it down to here, well, if we want to cut a few corners, we can. When we bring this down, what are we going to multiply it by the time it gets down to there? Again, pause the video and actually say to yourself what you think you're multiplying by, and then you can continue the video and see if you're actually right. So you multiply by 2. So minus 2a plus 4d is equal to 0. Then you add them together and you get 13d is equal to 104. Then you divide both sides by 13 and you're going to get d is equal to 104 divided by 13, and the answer is 8. And then we can go back to this equation here. Minus a plus 2d equals 0. Change the signs. A minus 2d is equal to 0. Sub in what we know. A minus 2 lots of 8 is equal to 0. And then clearly a is equal to 16. And then we've actually finished the question.